I appreciate you all coming back after lunch. I know it's a tough, I just had to rush and leave Beth with the bill so I could get back here in time. So, okay, yeah, let's start this one. It's all right, we can start this. This was Julie and I were both interested in this idea of what makes an oyster shuckable. And so just as a throwback, and Julie said this was okay, I don't see her here yet, but she said this was okay to play. Can you press play on that, John?
Okay, so let's go back to shucking for a moment. Are you a front shucker or a back shucker?
Oh, goodness. I guess I'm a back shucker. I've never said it like that before. That just sounds a little naughty. Shucking from the hinge? Am I blushing? Yeah, so I typically go through the hinge, unless if it's a brittle shell, and then I go through the side. I have not mastered the art of going through the front like old school, but I've seen it done, and it's pretty badass.
I wanted to show that for a couple of reasons. When Julie saw that, she said, so much collagen. That is from 2016. That was filmed at the first Oyster South Symposium at Auburn University. For folks who were there, we had Marianne Laney there doing filming. I've found some old video of Boris and Marcos there as well, so it's some good throwback video. So the reason I was really hopeful to have shuckers here especially is I wanted to think about these two questions. What makes an oyster more or less shuckable than another? And can we quantify the shuckability? Why would you want to do that? I totally understand if you're a grower and your oysters are kind of hard to shuck, you probably don't want a score on it that says they're hard to shuck. Because this is not a score that we are intending to share as like a wine spectator score. The idea was, as a grower, you need to know if your oysters are problematic for shucking. You want to know that, and you want to have a measure of it so that you can change it if you want. Now, maybe you don't want to. That's also okay. But we have struggled with this idea of how do you improve that. So Julie is not here, so she had some really pretty slides. I might go back to these because she can talk about why shuckability is important. So yeah, let me skip to the ones I was going to do, and we can go back to hers. I will say that when Julie and I started talking about this, just for the sake especially of a skilled audience, totally understand that the skill of the shucker's familiarity with the type of oyster. Are you shucking a Ballan? Are you shucking a Pacific? Are you shucking? That totally matters. The shucking knife or the tool matters. The shucking method, are you a hinge, bill, or side shucker, matters. And then the shucking position, tabletop or in hand, and the time since harvest. We know those all affect it. That's not what we're trying to ask here. What we were trying to ask is, what is the shuckability of the oyster itself when we look at it? So, what makes an oyster more or less shuckable that an oyster grower can influence? Okay, so that's what we're asking about. So I'm going to go through some of and we're going to ask, I'm going through these because I want to get your opinions about these things. But when we look at this, is this, when do people see this with oysters? The top shelf, all right, pretty common. All right, I call this the bottom lip break. I find this less common, but sometimes the oysters are brittle enough when I get the knife in there, the front bill shakes, and I'll take the blame for that shuck, I guess. I don't know, it was in my lab, so I know that is a scrambled oyster, I know. The hinge blowout, I don't know if I can play that video, each of these videos. Can you guys hit play on that? So you guys have seen this. That's a pretty mild version of it. That's probably still servable versus some of the ones that you've seen. Let's see. Look, I found a new word. So elf shoes, which, so I looked up what the hell is the official name of an elf shoe? And I've forgotten now what the name is. But it turns out that in the 50s, that shoe was in style, and those are called winkle pickers. And so this is now the winkle picker hinge for me. So this is where you get this, oops, sorry, can you play that video again? Sorry, in each of these, oh, maybe not. And the right-hand side, yeah. So you can see, obviously that makes it a little bit hard to get the knife in. And then the shoe horns, and you're gonna have to play that video again. You can see, you can get the knife in, but then trying to get it across that is an issue. We played with what the name of this should be. There were a couple variations, but we call these pancake butt, where it's so close that it's hard to get a shelf to get the knife into. I'm not going to blame Julie for that name either. I'm going to say I came up with that. And then speed bumps. So when you get these stalactites or stalagmites from mud blisters, when my knife hits that, you can see actually a piece of adductor muscle behind that I wasn't able to get out cleanly because of it. I had to call this, that's AI, because I couldn't find one, but I call this the downward dog. If you flip that oyster over, it looks a little bit like a downward dog. That's actually pretty shuckable to get the knife into, but shucking that and getting a clean shuck, I found very difficult. So I'm gonna go back and let Julie talk about like why, let's see, you might be able to go back faster. Can you guys go back to the first one with the pans, please?
Oh, sorry, I got very emotional in the oyster confessional, which is why I'm a little late, so I blame Kevin, sorry. Okay.
One more, I think, after that. There you go.
Right, so any guesses as to why I put a bunch of pans on this slide? I was starting to think about shuckability in terms of user experience, and in our kitchens, everybody has their favorite pan, right? Or you've done enough research to find your favorite pan, but I was thinking to it, I was like, I started with nonstick pans because it was an easy solution. And then I got my cast iron pan, which is phenomenal for other things, and then now I've upgraded to my stainless steel pans, which are so good at getting food really hot, but they're a bit more high maintenance, and you really have to understand how to use these pans to get a good cooking experience. And then I realized like that's kind of the same for oysters all over the board. Some are very easy and straightforward, perfect for beginners, while others you really need to understand how to use and open the oyster properly to experience their beauty. So that's why I figure, you know, can we think about oysters in terms of product user experience? Next slide. Oh, button. Okay. So I don't know if this is a question that is on anybody's minds. Maybe we're already past it. Like shuckability is an important factor. But in the world of just selling and marketing products, this is what's pretty evident and true across the board, which is products that are easy and enjoyable to use tend to do better in the marketplace, right? Think about all the brands that you love in your life. Why do you love them? It's probably they make your life easier. It makes you happy. It's effortless, it's convenient, it's not a choice that you have to make over and over again, and I think it could be the same for oysters. And of course, our live oysters on the half shell do need to be shucked, and therefore, shuckability is critical to the user experience. And so ease of use, I think for the growers in the room is definitely an important consideration, right, for your oysters. That's a key product benefit, especially to the new shuckers, and in order to grow the market, we are going to have to recruit more and more people to shuck, and so the first, you know, the beginner oyster has to be built in a way that is just very effortless to open. And I think that was the setup that I wanted to give maybe 5 minutes ago.
Thanks, Julie.
Of course.
So I'll just pick up there. Oh, you had this one too, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry. So I've been developing level 3 curriculum for Oyster Master Guild, and I've been incorporating expert opinions into the program. This is my friend and oyster educator, Becca Angoff. She is the director of procurement at Wolf's Fish in Boston, Massachusetts, and she has, you know, a very concise way to evaluate oysters, and I thought it would just be important for you all to understand from a wholesale perspective, like what she is looking for when she's bringing on an oyster into her program. This is actually the same thing that Patrick McMurray does when he's buying his oysters. Happy to read it. The first thing we do is take it out of the bag and look at the consistency across the oysters. First and foremost is size. What do we actually have in front of us? So size consistency. From there, we look at the shape and overall cleanliness. I also pay close attention to the hinge to make sure it's an easy shuck. In a perfect world, you'd want to sell every single oyster, but at the end of the day, ease of opening really matters, and that's what I found to be interesting. We can have a beautiful, perfect oysters, but if they're difficult to open, a lot of customers will shy away. So next, we shuck them and look at the overall state of the meat. How does it look? Is it opaque, watery? Does it fill the shell? The assessment is always relative to the time of year and the oyster's life cycle. And then we taste it and really pick apart the flavor profile to see where it fits within our roster. And that's the initial evaluation she has.
So I went through this before a little bit. Like, we certainly understand that there are a lot of other things, what I guess you might call external factors that drive shuckability. And my example is, I've worked with some growers who grow a bottom oyster and it doesn't come out of the water very often, and it tends to have a lot of sponge and mudworms at the hinge, and their answer to me has been, people just need to learn how to shuck from the bill. That if you shuck from the bill, that's not a problem. And that's true. I think that's a big ask when you're just happy to have somebody that can shuck. So I'm not opposed to that idea, but I'm not sure it's a long-term strategy. So there's some, you can see, I think Julie was also gonna talk, like, I think we wanted to mention, there's getting the oyster open, and there's getting the oyster open and still having a quality product. So that's, I think, what we're trying to emphasize there. So I went through these, I'll click through these, the top, the bottom, the blowout, the winkle pickers, the shoehorns, and pancake butt. And for those who just came in, that's where you just have trouble finding the place to put the knife in. Speed bumps, all right, and downward dog. So, can we quantify the shuckability of these oysters? And to do that, we need to make sure that we're measuring everything that's important. And that's where I wanted your feedback, because I am seriously trying to plan a shuckability, the Science of Shuckability Summit, where we bring in shuckers and we bring in different oysters and we test things like on these. We control things like knives and whether you're shucking from the hinge and et cetera, and we try to actually learn which oysters were quantitatively more shuckable than others. So to do that, I know you've seen a lot of these, I apologize, so it's another Bill Walton 073. If you can go to another poll EV, first we wanted to start with, tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh my goodness, we're almost out of time. And I hate to do that to Megan, because like, yeah, I know. All right, I can't short Leslie. All right. I'm going to have to move on. I hope it lets you still answer. If I go forward. No? Did it move it forward for you? Okay. So where do you work? All right. Got a few Texas. If you're out of the country, just put it somewhere in the white. I'll figure it out. All right. I got to get the information, so I'm going to move on. Can you just, I think you can vote for 3 things, like the most common issues that you see. What are the things that you see most commonly? Not necessarily, I'll ask you in the next one, the most challenging. This is, what is the most common thing that you see? Downward dog, somebody sees that a lot? All right. Oh man, I wish we had more time, I didn't realize that. All right, and then as a shucker, what are the most challenging issues that you see? What is the one that you as a shucker have the most trouble solving with your knife? Oh no. Slow? No. Well, I'm gonna ask it verbally then if it's locked. I don't know what I did there, so I apologize for that. Yep. All right. So while we ask, like in the time, very few, like we're there, I guess, aren't we? We are. So if you can, is that one open?
This is not
All
one.
right. So you can put out like what else? So yeah, if you want to also put in there while we go to the next speaker, things that you consider that we should consider that we didn't, but then also what you consider the most challenging. And I'm sorry, we really wanted to get feedback. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm okay.
Where's Leslie?
Leslie's right here. Leslie, do you have a cram-packed talk for 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Where should I?
It's Leslie.
Give me my time.
All right.
All right.
Julie and I will both be here.
Yeah.
We'd love to talk with you and
Can
find
they-
out if you think there's something we missed that's not on here. We'd love to hear about that.
Can they still, I mean, if they're logged into that?
I'll
Yeah.
leave that, like, you can go to the next talk and that poll should stay open.
Perfect. Thank you. Round of applause.